Hello, Internet. So, um, I've let on a few times in these videos that I am kind of as much of a wine nerd, or almost as much of a wine nerd, as I am a spirits nerd. I just don't talk about it because for my career, I sell wine as a career. So there's a little bit of a conflict of interest for me to be talking about wine too often when it's in my interest to talk this stuff up. But in this case, I'm going to make an exception because these are technically not wines. They are sold in the spirits department of my local store. Uh, Even though they aren't really spirits either, it's really hard to say exactly kind of what they are. But well, I mean, the main thing is that they're delicious. So let's get into that. Pineau de Charentes and Pommeau de Normandy. What the hell are these things? So as I record this, it is right before Thanksgiving. I'm going to serve these for the handful of guests we're coming because COVID, right? We're basically inviting some folks over who are all fellow parents at my daughter's daycare because we're basically already sharing the same germs, and why not just do it officially and have turkey at the same time? Anyways, this is going to be the stuff I put out, basically for the entire night, but also with the desserts. We're having some classic Southside bean pie, and I think these will go well. All right, so what are these things if they're not wines and they're not spirits? Well, basically what you're doing. Okay. Let's start with the Pinot because it's the Pommeau is basically kind of a variation on the same idea. Pinot was apparently invented in, I guess, the late 16th century by a winemaker who added, threw some grape juice, basically, into a barrel, thinking it was empty, and but it was not empty. In fact, included some brandy, some grape eau de vie in there. And when they popped it out a couple of years later, it turned out to be absolutely delicious. So that's what this stuff is. It's basically, you can think of it as grape juice, good grape juice, not like the crap you buy in the grocery store. This is good stuff that has been spiked by, in this case, cognac. So in a ratio of 2 to 1. So it is quite sweet. It kind of functions in the same role as a dessert wine, even though there really isn't any wine in it. It's just brandy mixed with grape juice. That's all it is. The Pommeau from Normandy. There's Pommeau made in other regions, and Pinot made in other regions for that matter. The general category that is sometimes used to describe these is mistelle, which is comes from the Latin root mixtella, meaning mix, basically. And what you're talking about is basically the kind of ancestor for an aged cocktail. It's a mixture of different things, which you've then thrown in a barrel for a couple of years. And these can be thrown in a barrel for a long, long time. I've had Pinots in this style that have been aged for 20 years in barrel. In fact, we opened one up to celebrate our buying this year condo. And they're good. If you see an aged Pinot, grab it. They tend to be delicious. Anyways, back to it. So what you have to expect with these things is you're combining something that was fermented and then distilled with something that was never fermented in the first place. So let's talk about fermentation for a second. Fermentation is a complex process, which unless you control it very strictly, is going to produce a lot of very interesting compounds. Some of those are nice. We like those. Some of them are not nice. They are off notes. And you can kind of massage those out by aging them in bottle or in oak. But they can be kind of there. They add the heavy notes, the the methanols, the fusel notes. Now those things, if you go to distill, especially in a pot still, although continuous distillation has its own way of kind of accomplishing the same purpose. With pot distillation, batch distillation, you can make cuts. You can eliminate some of those heavier chemicals, and some of the other stuff you don't want by just cutting off the heads and tails and keeping the heart of your distillation. So your distillate does not carry along those heavier, nastier off notes from your fermentation. It is cleaner as a result. And then, so what you're going to do in this case is you're going to take that distillate, which has been, had the nasty stuff from fermentation eliminated, and you're going to combine with it with something that was never fermented in the first place. What you're getting with these mistelles, if you like, is therefore something extremely clean. Actually, as much as I love dessert wine, these tend to be cleaner than that. These tend to be much kind of lighter on their feet because they don't have those, heavier compounds that are created by the fermentation process. Do they have the potential for aging and collecting the, long-term complexity of a traditional dessert wine, say? No, not really. But that doesn't mean they don't have their place. These are much easier to deal with in certain senses. Like if you're a mixologist and you're looking for stuff thrown to cocktails, these are, in a way, much more predictable than traditional dessert wines, even like fortified wines for that matter. And like a fortified wine, you can throw both of these into the fridge for a month or more, and it'll keep. So there's a lot of pluses going for them. They're also not that expensive because they're still perceived kind of as like old people drinks. These are like 90-year-old French people drink this stuff, and the cool kids have kind of moved on. But that doesn't mean the 90-year-olds are wrong. All right, so let's get into these. This is, I've never tried this before. This is a Pineau from Park, who also make cognac. I reviewed a couple of their cognacs and very much enjoyed them. This is 50% Mistelle, which is a grape native to the region. You don't see it distilled much or made into wine much, but it is 50% of the component here. 30% Colombard and 20% Ugly Blanc, bottled at 17% alcohol by volume, which tends to be the standard with these. All right. I am using my little Glencairn glasses for these. You can use any old glass you like. And on the nose, you're just getting kind of like really, really nice grape juice. There's some apricot characteristics, lots of honey on this. What I'm getting above all is how clean this is. I mean, if I put this side to side with the Sauterne, with like a Lupiac, something like that, a traditional dessert wine, the traditional dessert wine would be throwing more notes at me. It would be more explosive on the nose. But some of those notes might not be nice, if that makes sense. Whereas this is just so clean and simple and chiseled into its shape. And there's a place for that. There's absolutely a place for that on the palate. Oh, these are delicious. If you are someone who likes, smooth drinks, and no shame in that, but if you gravitate towards the word smooth when you walk into a wine and spirit shop, if that is the word you choose to describe things, you need to try this. Okay, so it is quite sweet, on in a grape juice kind of way, but we are getting those apricot characteristics. Raisins, clover honey, wildflower honey. A little bit of an orange note, a kind of Grand Marnier note. It isn't bringing a whole lot of the floral character, the crazy aromatic character I expect from, a classic dessert wine like a Sauterne or a Barsac. Even some of the little guys like Lupiac. But again, what you're getting in return is something that is so clean. I mean, I can build half a dozen cocktails off of this, like just off the top of my head. I mean, it's just an easy thing you can throw into anything you can think of. Like you can sub this in for simple syrup and it'll work, and it'll make things, more interesting in whatever cocktail you're adding it to. I mean, these are fun. I'm not going to score these because, like, I'm a spirits reviewer and these aren't really spirits, but I like this a lot. The Pommeau de Normandy, second verse, same as the first. So what we're getting here is apple juice, basically apple juice, that has been blended with Calvados, which is, distilled apple and pear brandy. You have to use 1-year-old Calvados for this, and you have to, I believe, age your Pommeau for a certain amount of time. This one is from Famille Dupont. It's not my favorite of the Pommeaus out there. Druhan and who is that other famous? Le Morton also make their own Pommeaus, but I couldn't get a hold of it for this, so we're going with this one. Again, 17% alcohol. No indication of how old this was or how long this was aged, but you can get some long aged ones at least if you're in Europe. The U.S. obviously the market for this kind of stuff is a little bit thinner, but I imagine they're still out. If you're in New York, you can probably get something like that. Not so much in Chicago. Look at the color on this, by the way. I do not think that's caramel. I think that's just oak and apple juice and, goodness. What I'm getting on the nose is, again, these are extremely clean. Extremely clean. Delightfully light on their feet. It can be tons of fun to try old Mistelles because, again, they don't lose that character of just kind of, I keep repeating the word lightness, but it's the right word. These are not challenging. These are not. They don't have a whole lot going on. But what is there is pure. It is crystalline. It is lovely. So I'm getting, dessert apple mixed with cider apple, but almost like candied cider apple. So if you've chopped up your cider apple, thrown it in a pan with some sugar and some butter, and you've kind of fried it up, it's that kind of thing. Again, lots of honey. Some raisiny notes, weirdly enough. Again, I hate to keep using the word light and clean, but that's kind of what I'm getting from this. This is, it's just easygoing. It's so smooth. I'm really sorry to use that word, but it's smooth on the nose. And very nice. On the palate, yeah, I do prefer the Park a little bit in this case. The finishes on this Dupont is a little bit short. It feels a little bit thin in the mouth, but it's still nice. It's still giving me some like candied apple characters, like caramel apple characteristics. Lots of honey. A little nutmeg in there. No. Allspice. Sorry. And I hate to keep repeating this word, but it is very clean. I could drink this all day without even noticing it. but it still has the complexity to sort of keep my interest. I don't like that. Again, I don't like this as much as the Park. If I were rating these, I would put the Park ahead. But this is, I mean, just having like, you know, aged spiked apple juice is a delight in the glass. And again, if you're a mixologist, buy a bottle of this for your fall drinks. Have some fun. You could sub this in for syrup in like old fashions to give something a little appley snap. Yeah, I wish it was a little bit more full in the mouth and a little bit and hung around for a little bit longer. But otherwise, good product. But for me, I'm going back to the Park. These are terrific. Yeah, so if you're looking for a drink to enjoy during the holidays, these are terrific. And you don't have to stop here. They make what is it called? They make a version in Gascony called, what is it called? A floc de Gascon. And there's in Jura, there's one made with Mar, with Pommeau brandy called Mac Van. So that's also good luck finding those in the U.S., but they are out there somewhere, I'm sure. And all worth looking into because they are so, you know, just kind of delicious and nice and easygoing, and they fit a certain niche. Let's put it that way. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching my silly video on the Mistelles. And I'm going to stop it here. Hope this is educational, and cheers.